Good afternoon. My name is Dale Ryder. I'm State Senator from the 55th District of Illinois, which includes all our parts of 14 counties in east central and southeastern Illinois, and I am proud to join my colleagues here to talk about what is obviously a very troubling issue. But as much as we want to talk about the Inspector General's report that's before us, we need to remember that this happens against the backdrop of other issues. It happens against the backdrop of the Democrat leaders here in the Capitol and their growing theme that the status quo is appropriate and required. That there's nothing we can do to make these programs more efficient. There's nothing that we can do to cut wasteful spending or spending that is just flat out wrong, which is exactly what the Inspector General's report tells us. That there's, against the backdrop of last week, the Auditor General comes out with a scathing report that has already been the subject of investigations by news media, and we believe will be the investigation of other branches of government, such as law enforcement, with regards to the somewhere between $50 and $100 million of money that was put through a program called the Neighborhood Recovery Initiative, and really just disappeared into areas in the city of Chicago. And now we have before us an Inspector General's report that tells us that there were fake vendors, that there was the manufacture of students that didn't really exist in order to draw more state taxpayer dollars. And remember that there are school districts out there now that are owed about $505 million. Now, the school districts in my Senate district are owed about $5 million of that. But if you go to the school district in Carmine, or Lawrenceville, or Mattoon, or Marshall, they're going to tell you they are barely getting by. Between the change in emphasis on what matters in this state, away from education, which is what we've seen in the last decade, and the changes in formulas that have driven more of that money that's available for public education into Chicago and away from the rural areas, they're barely getting by. And now they will sit and look at an Inspector General's report that says that there was fraud, rampant fraud, going on in the Chicago public school system, and that they are getting additional $200-some million that these schools are not getting. That's a horrible message for government, regardless of the party that's in charge, to send. The Democrat leaders need to step up to the plate here. They need to take action on following up on the Inspector General's report, have committee hearings, and find out what really happened here. And they need to step up to the plate and tell the rest of the school districts in the state that they are just as important, and the kids who go to school in those districts are just as important as the one getting the Chicago block grant, and eliminate that block grant this session.